Good morning, students. This is Asha, your social science teacher. Today we are going to go ahead with chapter 2 in history, which is New Kings and Kingdom. So, before we start, let's quickly recap what we studied yesterday. We studied emergence of new dynasty, Chola, Rashtrakutas, Palas, and then we studied how these new dynasties came into existence. These new dynasties were formed by Samantas only, who became powerful and established their own kingdom. And then we studied about Rashtrakutas, how he overthrew their overlord Chalukyas and became powerful. Then we studied how kings shared their power with Samantas and traders. And then we discussed about the administration. Two important things were there in administration: tax collection and army, and both these things were maintained by king, close family members and relatives only. Later it became hereditary. Then we studied about Prashastis, how Prashastis tell a lot of information about in our history. At the same time, we studied about different types of taxes which were collected by Cholas in those time frame. 400 different types of taxes were collected. So when we are studying Prashastis and sources of history, we come across a very long poem written in Sanskrit by Kalhana, and the name of the poem is Raja Tarangini, which is quite different than earlier poems, because in Prashastis generally we see they praise king only, but Kalhana's Raj Tarangini, which tells us the history of kings who ruled over Kashmir. And for writing this, Kalhana used variety of sources: inscriptions, documents, eyewitness account, earlier history account. And unlike Prashastis, he is often critical about rulers and their policies. Prashastis only praise, whereas in Raj Tarangini, Kalhana, if he finds that this is not right, he criticizes as well. So this is quite different what we find in this time frame. Warfare for wealth. Yes, this is very important and very common in those time frame. Ruling dynasties were based in specific regions and they tried to control other areas. And one such prized possession was Kannauj. Kannauj was a city situated near Ganga Valley. So most of the rulers believed whoever ruled Kannauj, he is the bigger king. So in that view, many kings fought for Kannauj, and there were three famous dynasties which fought to gain power over Kannauj were Gurjara Pratihara, Rashtrakutas and Pala. These three dynasties continuously fought among themselves to be a ruler of Kannauj. Because these three parties were involved, this is also known as tripartite struggle. And because of this struggle only, they became weak later on. So that's about the Kannauj and tripartite struggle. Temple as a storehouse of wealth. Rulers tried to demonstrate their power and resource by building large temples and forts. Whenever there was a large temple made, king used to give them a grant, plus people also went there and gave grant. So eventually these temples became storehouse of wealth, and when they attacked one another's kingdom, they often chose to target temple which were extremely rich. So as we studied, kings used to attack another's region, and whenever they attacked, they used to attack temples because temples were the storehouse of wealth. And because of that only, we come across Mahmud Ghazni from Afghanistan. He ruled 997 to 1030 AD, and he attacked India 17 times. Can you imagine 17 times? Mahmud Ghazni extended control over parts of Central Asia, Iran, and northwestern part of the subcontinent. His main targets were wealthy temples, including that of Somnath, Gujarat. Here is an interesting story about Somnath, Gujarat temple. When he invaded Somnath, he saw the Somnath temple has a huge and beautiful gate. He liked that gate so much that he took away that gate along with him to Afghanistan. And he whatever money he looted from India, he spent that money in building his own city Ghazni. Sultan Muhammad was also interested in finding out more about people he conquered and entrusted a scholar named Al-Biruni to write an account of the subcontinent. The Arabic work of Al-Biruni is known as Kitab al-Hind, and it is a great source of history for present-day historians also. Al-Biruni consulted Sanskrit scholars to prepare this account. So we see that not only he invaded India, but he was interested in knowing more about people. So he entrusted a scholar to write about people he has conquered. So that's about Ghazni, who invaded India 17 times in a span of 25 years. Now let's move on to the next powerful dynasty, which is Chamanas, or which are Chauhans. Chauhans ruled over the region around Delhi and Ajmer region. They attempted to expand their control to the west and east, and they were opposed by Chalukyas of Gujarat and Ghalwas of western Uttar Pradesh. And the most famous ruler of Chauhan dynasty was Prithviraj III, who ruled 1168 AD to 1192 AD. So, inspired by Ghazni, Muhammad Ghauri also decided to invade India, and he did that in 1191. Prithviraj defeated Afghan ruler, and that in 1191. That battle was known as Battle of Tarain. It was first Battle of Tarain in which Prithviraj defeated Sultan Muhammad Ghauri. And later on, Ghauri again reinforced his army and decided to attack India again. When Prithviraj came to know about this, he tried to form a confederacy of all the Rajput rulers to fight Ghauri, but he couldn't do so because he had some problems with Jaichand. You must have heard about the legend of Prithviraj and Sanyogita. So Jaichand was very angry with Prithviraj, so he did not happen this confederacy. When Prithviraj was trying to form a confederacy to fight Ghauri, he made sure that no other Rajput ruler support Prithviraj. So when second battle of Tarain happened, Muhammad Ghauri came with double reinforcement and Prithviraj was alone. So in 1192, second battle of Battle of Tarain, Prithviraj was defeated and killed. And Muhammad Ghauri was different than Ghazni. Ghazni only wanted to loot India, invaded, looted, and went back and beautified his own city Ghazni. Whereas Muhammad Ghauri wanted to establish his rule in India. So he did not have any legitimate hire. So he entrusted his general Qutbuddin Aibak to Delhi and went back to Afghanistan. Qutbuddin was his slave and later he became his general. So Qutbuddin Aibak established a slave dynasty in India. So the second battle of Tarain is very important in history, where Prithviraj was defeated, because that laid the foundation of Muslim rule in India. And the new ruling dynasty came, that is slave dynasty, which we will be studying in chapter 3. So this battle was quite important. So the next topic is rise of Chola dynasty, how Cholas came into power. That we'll be discussing tomorrow. Let's quickly recap what we studied today. We studied about how wars were done for wealth, and how temples became the storehouse of wealth and how they were looted. We studied about Mahmud Ghazni. He invaded India 17 times. And we studied about Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori. And tomorrow we'll discuss the Chola dynasty, how they came into power and how they founded their dynasty. That's all for today. Thank you.